Oh, phone's not on vibrate.
That's the notification that we got. We
Uh-huh.
live.
There we go. Yes, sir. Welcome back, everyone, to our next episode of Count the Bucket. I'm your host, Michael, with Nick, CJ, and someone else here with us today, Owen. Welcome to the show. He's not totally a stranger to us here, but in case you don't know who he is, we will get into that first. But before we get too excited and jump out anything, we want to start off by paying our respects. Of course, news broke yesterday, I think it was, that to me, Mr. Basketball, Bill Russell had passed away, I think, at age 82, was it?
88.
88. 88 years old. Uh, we want to at least give the respect, start off the show with that, and just say that our condolences to the family on that. I'll never forget some of the funny things that he's done as an older man with NBA. Some of these awards he's given out, pointing at all the superstars. Just his game, I think he won 11 titles. It was, I mean, even just the stats of the pitcher with all the rings. I mean, to me, he is Mr. NBA almost. I hate to hear this. He's a wonderful man. Been big for the NBA, not only as a player, but as a person after the game for this, as we got some highlights going here. Really, before his time, he was so far advanced. CJ, is this supposed to be playing any volume on that?
Nah, no volume on it. We could kind of talk over it, and yeah.
Okay. But anything you guys want to say about it, about him and his game and just everything?
I mean, honestly, the name just kind of speaks for itself. You know, when you think about the greatness of Bill Russell, you know, winning 11 titles, and I know a lot of people like to discredit that, you know, his 11 titles just because of the era that he did play in. You know, we alluded to this last week, you know, with the whole JJ Redick and Jerry West situation, where JJ Redick said that, you know, Bob Cousy played against, like, you know, plumbers and fireworks and whatnot, but like, regardless of how the competition was around that time, like, you know, the 60s and 70s, like, you got to give credit where it's due. You know, Bill Russell winning 11 titles is a big accomplishment, and then people also have to understand, you know, the circumstances that he played against, or that he played in, where he couldn't stay in the same hotel room as his teammates, and where he couldn't even eat at restaurants with his teammates as well. So, you know, you got to think of the circumstances. And then even earlier today, after the announcement of his passing, you know, there's several other stories that came along. You know, when he was living in Boston, you know, his house was getting raided while he was at while he was on the road. So, you know, a lot of the unusual circumstances that he had to go through, and then on top of that, still go out there on the court, dominate, play at a high level, still win championships. You know, it just shows the resilience that he has, the commitment that he has for the game, or that he had for the game. And you know, basketball is going to miss him, honestly, as a whole. Because, I mean, honestly, even after he retired, you know, he was still very active, still going to NBA games, still making appearances at All-Star games, you know, making appearances at the NBA award shows when they were happening at the time. So Bill played a huge role in the game of basketball, not only then, but today as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree, man. And like you said, he's the ultimate winner. I think Adam Silver put out a statement earlier today when the news broke that, you know, that's what he meant to this game, that he was the ultimate champion in team sports just in general. And, you know, Nick alluded to it just a little bit, but for him to wake up in a time where not only was he hated on the outside, but even on the inside, you know, he dealt with so much on the court and off the court, and woke up and chose to dominate every single day despite what he had to deal with. And I think that speaks to the kind of man he was, the kind of player he was, and why he was so great. I hate the people that discredit him. You know, I get the 11 championships thing. There was a bunch less teams, and he was the most dominant player in the league at that time. But that doesn't discredit how great he was, in my opinion. Seeing him walk up and give the Bill Russell, you know, NBA Finals MVP every single year, as old as he is, has been phenomenal. I'm sure Steph Curry and a lot of the guys that have won it recently are going to really cherish those moments that they got to shake that man's hand and receive the award from him himself, because nobody else is going to get to do that anymore. So the game of basketball is going to miss him for sure.
Legend. And he changed the game, definitely, with how he played, rebounding the basketball, pushing the floor. We see some of the highlights right here for our viewers, but from an audio standpoint, it's just defensively, blocking shots. Listen, I know that you asked Will Chamberlain about him. I mean, before Will Chamberlain had passed, you know, I used to watch interviews of how glowingly he talked about Bill Russell. And even though he didn't have the type of, you know, offensive stats that Will had, you know, what he did on the defensive floor, on the defensive side of the court was phenomenal. And And like Nick and Owen said, the ultimate winner. I mean, 11 championships. It doesn't matter how many teams are in the league. You have to still go out there and perform and produce every single game. You still have to go out there and win. And for him to do that at the highest level each and every year, it speaks volumes. Yeah, you see these highlights of him. He's just ahead of his time. He really was. I mean, he do everything on the court. He probably could have went out there and scored 50 like someone like Wilt and Kareem, but you know, he sacrificed and did other things. He was a superstar in his role, a legend in his role, and he's one of the greatest to ever do it. And that's why, again, like you guys talked about, the Finals trophy, NBA Finals MVP trophy is named after him. And it's fitting. I saw a clip earlier with him and Kobe speaking after an All-Star game. That's a classic. And then obviously, you know, both of those guys aren't with us anymore. So definitely. It was a sad moment, sad video to watch, but you just look at two legends. But Bill Russell was he's an icon, man, and R.I.P.
Right, and honestly, I mean, just watching these highlights, I don't think people really understood how talented Bill really was, like overall. You know, when it comes to like, you know, being able to be a great ball handler, being able to run the floor, you know, and like dictate the offense. Because I mean, we always talk about
you see that pass.
I mean, exactly. I mean, like, but here's the thing, like we talk about positionless basketball, like, you know, in today's game, and like what these guys are doing today is like, you know, a lot of these guys like Bill and even other guys per se were doing this even back in the early days. It's just that, you know, Bill played with a guy like Bob Cousy, so you know, I don't think he really got the credit of like being a great ball handler, being a great playmaker. So I think that's another thing as well, is like, you know, whenever like, you know, we study like the old days of the NBA, is like, you know, how talented these guys were.
And we need to start doing our homework too. And this is for the younger generation. It's for the guys younger than us. You know, they go on these social media apps and they talk crazy about the players that came before their favorite players. And honestly, without these guys like Bill Russell, like Cousy, like these legends, like Nick talked about, a discussion that we had last week. You know, these players that we see today, it don't happen. You need to be inspired by someone in order to do the things that you're doing in the present day.
I'm go ahead. I'm sorry. Who's done? I'm going to go a little off. I don't know. This is my ADHD. So I've got 3 babies. You all know that, and like they were basically babies all at the same time. And some people would come up to us and be like, "Oh man, I don't know how you do it. You know, you're tired." Well, as I've learned this now, I'll see couples with one child. Okay, this is kind of where I'm getting at to see to my point here. And they'll be like, "Man, I'm just so tired." You know, me personally, I want to look at them saying, "I don't know how you can say you're tired when I've got that times 3." But when your max, and what I always say is like your cup is completely full with that one child, that's all you know, right? So they are completely tired because they don't realize they could go more tired. Well, in this era, this is where I'm going to kind of relate it back to. This era, like their dribbling skills, as we've seen there, didn't look like nothing now, you know, where we're N1 and all that stuff. But that was the best that they were then. So, I mean, that's all they knew. Like they were capped at that level with the amount of technology we say and all this stuff. So, I mean, we act like they aren't as good because we have advanced it more now. Like we need to stop that and give them the respect because they were the best at that time of what they were doing. And Russell, watching some of those passes he just did, I mean, he was the big man and he crossed somebody up there on one of the highlights and threw a 3/4 one-hand pass. Like you don't see that. You can say he's not talented. No, their skill level was just capped out. You can see that they were as far as athletic as anyone else. Some of those blocks, man, I mean, that was good stuff. So don't be those guys that say that the old school guys were just bad. Come on, man.
He wasn't the tallest guy either. I mean, you got him listed at 6'9", you know, playing center.
Yeah. And I mean, that's Draymond Green's height, you know.
Yeah,
how much of a defensive presence he was. Yeah, 6'9". I mean.
So, I mean, NBA moving forward, a spokesperson too, he will definitely be missed as a man. He will definitely be missed. Great career. Hate that he's gone on. Hopefully now he's in no pain and is better off. So
he lived a good life.
He lived a good life. With that being said, it's kind of hard to transition from that, but we'll go back to introducing Owen a little bit more now. Owen, welcome again to the show. I'll give the stand to you basically here, the mic, and let you kind of introduce yourself, what all you got going on. Because from last time I talked to you, I think you got a few more things you got going on as far as producing or creating or a creator or some things. So what all you up to now?
Oh man, the past 3 or plus 4 years have really kind of been crazy. I'm doing a lot right now, but that's a good thing. That's how you got to do it in this sports business to stay alive. You got to, swim or be eaten pretty much. But
Mhm.
I'm working at the radio station here in the upstate of South Carolina now, the Fan Upstate. I do producing for them and their political station when they need people. Mark Ryan, Rob Brown, and 912, 3 to 7 guys there. I was just at ACC Media Days with them last week, my second straight year at that event in Charlotte at the West End Hotel. Great to talk to all those coaches, cover college football. That's less than a month away at the end of this month. That's going to be exciting. And then, 2 months after that, the NBA starts, the NFL will be in full gear. And, here we are, end of 2022. It'll be here before we know it. You know what I mean? And I'm about to start actually here soon. You guys are the first ones to know this. I'm not quite sure if I'm supposed to be saying this, but I'm about to be the co-host on a big time Panther show. I don't know if I should go much further than that.
You don't have to.
Say. That's all I'm going to say.
It's
but
okay.
There are some
nobody's
big things.
Watching. It's just us. It's fine.
I'll talk to y'all off camera about that.
Why are you disrespecting our fans, Michael? Come on, man.
No. Nobody's watching. It's just us three. It doesn't matter what's said.
There's some cool stuff in the works, man. I used to work for Clemson SI, and I do some stuff for One Sleeve Nation here and there with Stanley McClover, former Panthers player, Brian Burns' brother, former creator of the Queen City Collective. That was my brainchild, man, where I started covering Charlotte sports. My bread and butter. I'm sure we'll get into some Hornet stuff today, and I'm not quite excited about that, but we'll get there. And I'm excited to be here, guys.
Well, we're so thankful to have you. And this is, while I've been a part of Count the Bucket, I think the second or maybe third time we've had you on. And so love the content. I'll never forget your It's a Guarantee with Amber from last time we were on here. But,
man, that was the worst Chuck's guarantee I think I've ever given, man. I was way too high on the Suns, and, I should have believed in Giannis a little bit more. I'm disappointed in myself.
Speaking of that, my brother, went to church. Just my hair is still wet because I just got out of the shower because we played basketball afterwards.
Did you get some buckets?
You know it, son. But busted out a couple cards that was in my truck. He said, "Hey, you know what? I was going through some of my old stuff. I've got a Giannis rookie card." And I said, "Do what?" He said, "Yeah, it's a PS something other rookie card." I was like, "Oh, okay, man. If you ever just want to give it to me since I'm kind of collecting cards again, I'll take it." He goes, "Maybe, I don't know. I have to see what I can find." I'm like, cha-ching. But no, he knows what he's doing. He knows that it's actually a good card now. So, I was kind of excited about that. But let's talk to you about some Hornets. Anybody got any questions they want to go with some Hornets at? Because I got one.
Let's start with the new head coach hiring. Obviously, the Hornets went away. Yeah, well, the newly / return guy. Yeah. Obviously the Hornets went away from James Borrego, who I considered a pretty good coach, but I know a lot of his defensive schemes weren't really the best. So how do you feel about the new or technically new guy coming in, Steve Clifford?
See, the problem is, CJ, he's not a new guy. He's not a new guy. You know what I mean? This is my whole problem with this organization. And if you guys would have gotten me on here about a month, I can't even remember how long it's been now since they announced Steve Clifford was being rehired as the head coach. I think right before or right after, I don't even know if he was hired during the NBA draft. I think the Hornets might have went coachless during the NBA draft and then hired Steve Clifford a couple of days later. But they fired Steve Clifford in either 2014 or 15 to hire James Borrego. They fire Borrego to bring back the guy they fired to bring in Borrego. Sounds about like the most Charlotte Hornets thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I will say Steve Clifford never even close had the crop of talent that he's about to have. The Miles Bridges situation obviously complicates that, but in my eyes, it's pretty likely at this point. I think we'll get an official ruling, but to my knowledge, he has been charged with a felony, and in my eyes, he should never play for the Hornets again. And the rest of the NBA, if I'd have it my way, to be honest. If you saw the pictures, if you saw the messages, if you saw the fact that there was a video of his oldest son, who Miles has promoted on social media tons of times, talking to, I guess, the mother, the grandmother, whoever, about what Miles had done that this child had witnessed in front of his mother, was really disgusting. And I never want to see him, at the very least, in a Hornets uniform again. But if you look at the rest of this team, I don't want to give him any more time than he deserves. LaMelo Ball is the best player that has ever – best talent, young talent that has ever been in Charlotte ever. I love Kemba Walker, and at this moment, he's still the franchise great. He'll stay that way in my eyes. I hope he comes back here soon. I think he is the exact veteran presence they need right now. A guy whose jersey, in my eyes, should be in the rafters one day, and the first jersey in the rafters at Spectrum Center. I think it helped LaMelo a little bit, but LaMelo, especially, it looks like he's bulked up a little bit. The area he really needs to get at is finishing at the rim. He's a great three-point shooter. I mean, off the rip, compared to what we thought he was going to be, he can get a little bit more efficient and take some wild shots, and that kind of, messes with his efficiency a little bit. He's obviously already one of the best playmakers in the entire league. I just hate that the Hornets haven't done more. They re-signed Cody Martin, who, props to Cody. There's been a lot of hate on Cody, and I really only think that's because he was the only move that the Hornets have made this offseason. They would have re-signed Miles to the max regardless of that situation if nothing had happened. But there was nothing else to do. You're a small market team. You got to live and die by the leftovers, and the leftovers weren't great this year. After I think they realized, thankfully, this Miles stuff happened before they put pen to paper. I think something could have been done with the NBA had that happened, but regardless of the point, now they have some money to work with. We've heard some stuff about Donovan Mitchell recently. They're in trade rumors. They're always middling in these trade rumors, and we'll see where that goes. But realistically, if you give up Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward to match contracts, and you give them James Bouknight, Kai Jones, probably PJ Washington too, on top of 2-3 first-round picks, Hornets have nothing left, pretty much. There's nothing left on this roster other than a bunch of young guys, and you're going to run out a 6'8" point guard and a 6'1" two guard that isn't the best defender on planet Earth. Granted, he'd be playing for a defensive coach in Clifford. I just don't see how you build around that efficiently, despite how good I think they'd be together offensively. They're just kind of stuck in the mud right now, and I like what Clifford is going to bring defensively. Statistically, I think he is the best coach in Hornets history, if I'm not mistaken. That was a mouthful, but they have to find a way to put something else around this team. I'd love to see them move off of Gordon Hayward's contract and flip him for, something a little bit more prosperous. I don't, and hear me out on this, guys, okay? I don't hate the idea of trading for Westbrook, and that is only because if they did that, it'd only be with the mindset that they buy Russell Westbrook out and then go into 2023, if you guys haven't checked, an extremely deep right now free agency class next summer with a ton of money that now that they haven't re-signed Miles, and if they move off of Hayward, buy out Russ, they're going in with probably 2 max contract slots while LaMelo was still on his rookie deal. So that's the lane I'd like to see them take. But if we're looking at this season right now, I don't see how they even make the play in. And if they do, they'll probably get beaten the first game by 40 points like they have the last 2 years. And, that's Charlotte Hornets basketball.
What's your thoughts on Williams, center that they drafted out of Duke?
I like Jalen Durant more. I feel like
understandable.
I feel like he would have been the perfect physical rim runner with LaMelo. They've been waiting for a defensive presence at center since I've been a kid. Even when Al Jefferson was there, I mean, he was one of the last low post masters before Steph went and revolutionized the game. I tweeted that the other day. But they've never really had a defensive guy. Even when Dwight was there for a year, he was just there to get 16 rebounds, block shots, and sell jerseys pretty much. I think Mark Williams can be that guy. The more I've seen from him in the summer league, the offensive game is ridiculously raw. He's going to be a good rim runner off the jump. He sets great screens, and he knows where to be. But that's half of it. And Steve Clifford's offense, if you go back and watch some of the Charlotte Hornet teams, especially when Kimball was there, a lot of ISO, nothing too complicated like James Borrego was doing, running Spain pick and roll action all the time, zipper cuts everywhere, trying to get Miles Bridges open. It's not going to be that deep because he has the offensive talent to get the job done. He's just got to make them better defensively. I don't know that he's got the talent to make them better defensively enough to be, make it into the outright playoffs this year.
Do you think that PJ may have a bigger year with moving more to a 4? Solely 4, I'll say.
I think PJ's gonna still play a lot of stretch five this year. I think Steve Clifford probably saw enough of that in Borrego's offense to know that it can work despite the defensive limitations it might bring. But he's gotten better defensively. He's better at being on the weak side and being in positions to get blocks when guys are making cuts. Like that's all he needs to do when they're running that small ball lineup, because they can kill you so hard defensively or offensively, even without Miles Bridges. They'll still have the talent to do that, I think. Cody Martin made a three-point jump last year, but PJ specifically, he's got to create three ball. He's going to be a threat for them offensively. People have got to guard him everywhere on the court. But I think we've probably seen about what PJ Washington is going to be. I think he can get a little better defensively and be a legitimate stretch five option off the bench on a really good championship contending team. But I don't know that he'll ever be much more than that. A good, starting option on a okay, mediocre team, but not a starting option on a championship caliber team, I don't think at all.
As a Kentucky fan, I'll go with that. I'll accept it.
Are you cool with the idea of Kemba coming back? Because we all know, the past few years for him hasn't really been the best. We know that during his time in Charlotte, MJ refused to give him that contract extension just because of his injury concerns. So we see how he ended, how things ended in Boston and how things ended in New York. Like how do you view that? Especially with that second unit regarding Kemba and Isaiah Thomas.
I tweeted about this the other day too, and if you can't tell, I mean that's the man's jersey right there. That one, you know what I mean? I love the guy to death, and when he was in Charlotte, I mean some of the best teams that this city has ever seen. Some teams that people in the NBA world barely know about, but as a fan, you have to know about here because you don't know much good basketball. The way it ended it wasn't the best, but I mean, in retrospect, yes, hindsight is always 20/20. But if they would have re-signed him, they would not have gotten LaMelo Ball.
Yeah,
and if they would have gotten LaMelo Ball, they would have been stuck on Kemba and stuck between starting this transcendent talent and starting a 6'0" point guard who is your all-time franchise leading scorer, and that just would not have ended well, especially with a guy like LeVar Ball involved. You know what I mean? I hate to see that, but Kemba still lives in Charlotte in the offseason. I don't think he's the type of guy, and he never gave off that energy when he played for us, that he was anything but respectful. He still got a great deal when he went to Boston. He still got a max contract. It just wasn't a super max. It wasn't far off of what Charlotte offered him to come back, and I think he just wanted the most he could get. And as we saw, he needed that security because I think it was less than a year later, he was already starting to get hurt in Boston and just never really came to fruition there. But he still lives here in the offseason. He knows the city like the back of his hand and knows the fans have a love for him. I don't see why he wouldn't be open to a reunion. And right now the Hornets need a backup point guard. And I love IT, the energy he brings. If they can bring both of them back, I'd love to see it happen. Don't love the metrics of having both of them on the 15 final man roster, but I'd prefer Kemba out of the two for sure.
Yeah, I'm right there with you with the Hornets. It's they show some flashes. They're really exciting at times, especially last year with what we saw from Ball and Bridges, and like you talked about, decisions that he made off the court is pretty disgusting. So, but what they did when they were on the court, I mean, that looked like to be the 1-2 punch, and I always just felt like they just needed one more piece. They needed one more wing potentially that could really get them over the hump, and also a rim protector, a guy like Williams, because Plumlee's really a backup. He's not really a starting caliber center in the NBA, in my opinion, just because of what he can't. He's not a great defensive big. But now it's yeah.
I mean, by the end of I only say this just because it's funny to me. I mean, by the end of the season last year, Mason Plumlee had switched and was shooting left-handed free throws just because he was that bad at the stripe. Man, it was rough.
Yeah, it was rough. It was definitely rough. I'm looking forward to seeing what Book Knight could do. I know he had the wrist injury or the hand injury in the off season, so I really didn't get to see him in the summer league. That was unfortunate. I wanted to see how potentially he can improve. It's an opportunity for him to get some shots now. Now that that void of Bridges not being there, we know Gordon Hayward. You can't rely on him because of the health. He hasn't really been durable since that incident in Boston a few years ago.
Yeah, he's got that big contract too.
Yeah, making 32 mil. So yeah, it's that's a situation that they're going to have to figure out. I mean, it'd be good for him to play and at least show something on the court, and then he could potentially be moved and maybe go to a contender. down the road. But I want to see Book Knight. I want to see Kai Jones. Again, I think this is a clear-cut opportunity for those guys. Get some minutes. You're going to have to play defense. That's what Steve Clifford's all about. Steve Clifford and Tom Thibodeau came from that Jeff Van Gundy, Knicks assistant coaching staff back in the 90s. So they're all about defense. That's the reason why he came back, because, like you said, the defense just wasn't there when Borrego was at the helm. So I like Clifford. He's an old school guy. He reminds me of Tibbs. I just feel like there's just a cap on those guys, just because. Right. Yeah, it's just you can't. I mean, they're good foundation coaches. They set a great foundation, and I guess you guys thought he set the foundation and Borrego would take you over the hump, but actually didn't work out that way. So now you're trying to bring him back to build another foundation, and hopefully maybe in a year or two you get the right guy for it moving forward.
I think Zach Lowe said it on the Lowe Post, or maybe I think it might have been Zach Lowe when that was first announced. Like, he is never going to be the worst coach in the NBA, but I don't think he's ever going to be a top 10 coach in the NBA either. And if he ever had a talented enough roster to get him past the first round of the playoffs, I'm sure that would show in droves, if you know what I mean, schematically. Especially if the team wasn't uber talented, I'm sure he'd get out coached and it ended a series loss, especially if it got to an Eastern Conference Finals type of situation. But that's not a bad thing. At this point in time, I see Hornets fans talking about, especially now that Miles is gone, talking about, that was the best young duo that this team has ever seen, and trying to flip the script. But for this Hornets team, the goal right now should just be to win a playoff series. When is the last time the Charlotte Hornets have won a playoff series? When? Can you guys even know? Can you guys even guess?
It would have to be in the 90s.
I want to say in the 90s.
I think it was 2000. I think it was 2001.
2001.
They won one series as the Bobcats, I'm pretty sure. One time. They went to 7 games against Miami in 2015, I think.
Yeah.
In the first round, and they got blown out by like 30 or 40 points in Game 7 in Miami after botching Game 6 in Charlotte, because purple shirt guy who is Al Jefferson, Kemba Walker, Courtney Lee, Jeremy Lamb, I think. Man, that was a team. They were fun to watch. Anyway,
yeah, they were.
And that series particularly, like, Steve Clifford was the coach in that series. They had a great team. They were pretty deep. Jeremy Lin, I think, was the backup point guard, and he was probably one of the better backups at point guard that we've seen in the city in a while, to be quite honest with you. And before Devontae Graham's rookie season, I think, behind Kemba when he was really good, and Tony Parker was there for a year, which feels like a fever dream. Golly. But in that series in particular, they really choked Game 6 when D Wade, I think he scored 12-something points.
Oh, yeah, that was like the purple guy's shirt game or something like that?
Yes, that dude is infamous in Charlotte, and he was a season ticket holder, and now he's like never at games anymore. That dude is like well known by Hornets fans because of that loss. And then, Steve Clifford loses a close game and knows he has a chance to go back to Miami and really get it back, and they get blown the hell out because Eric Spoelstra is Eric Spoelstra. And he's right now, in my opinion, the way the Spurs are looking, and it's not Pop's fault that they're not talented, but Spoelstra might be the best coach in the NBA right now.
Definitely.
That's fair. Up there. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, it's just tough. Off the cup, for sure. I mean, he's right there. He's at the top, but only a select few guys. And I like the team. I'm a fan of the team. Still exciting. I want to see LaMelo take that next step defensively. Yeah, that's really the key. I mean, his
decision making needs work too, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's why I think.
Has he ever played defense? Come on, guys. Look at the high school, when he's cherry picking a little bit. I mean,
okay.
Well, it's the NBA. It's the NBA, my guy.
Okay, but hear me out, Michael. Hear me out, Michael. Like, LaMelo is not a terrible defender at the moment. Okay. LaMelo is not a good on-ball point of attack defender. He's never going to be the guy that's fighting over screens and doesn't need a hedge helper. Especially some of the better centers in the NBA are coming up to set on him. But when we're talking about off ball, this guy's basketball IQ, his ability to get right and get steals, it's second to none. And I think if it gets to a point where Steve Clifford realizes he can't get any more on ball because of his strength limitations for the moment, he can really tune into that and help LaMelo hone that and really kind of make up for some of his point attack in what's the right word here? Inefficiencies.
Yeah. So what does that starting lineup look like in your opinion? Rozier, Ball, who's that three? Who's that wing?
If he's healthy, it's got to be Hayward. As much as I hate to say it, I mean, he's the exact guy that Steve Clifford is going to rely on because he's been around a long time. He's going to make the right play when he's on the floor most of the time. He's a good playmaker. He's not a negative defender most of the time, but he just can't stay healthy, man. And I think you mentioned it, CJ, about opening up minutes for Book Night. This is going to be his year. Miles is gone. Book Night got he was sitting on the pine almost all last year. This is his time. He's going to have to play defense if he's going to play. But 4 will probably be PJ Washington from the start, and then they'll probably start Mason Plumlee. And I'll probably a closing lineup, their best 5 will likely look like, if they re-sign a guy like Kemba, I'd probably think it'd be a Kemba, LaMelo, Rozier, Washington, Hayward type situation. If they got to score defensively, that lineup's going to get shredded. I don't know where the center situation goes because they decided to bring back Plumlee, who is kind of just getting in the way of 3 other centers for the past 2 years, even getting court time. I want to see Mark Williams play. He's been plus in the summer league. He can defend. He can block shots already at a high level in the NBA, I think, if he's just put in the right position to succeed. I'd go Ball, Rozier, Hayward, Washington, Plumlee to start, but I don't think that's how they'd close games, and I don't think that'd be their best 5 when they had the option.
So I need to know something, and it's pretty much pointless. Why did he change the number from 2 to 1? What's your story on that?
He was number 1 in high school and everything, like up until
he's always been number 1.
So it's just
that's his thing. One of one. That's Melo.
1 of 1.
And when he got there, Malik Monk was number 1, if I'm not mistaken. So
he had to go number 2 last year before he left, and they didn't re-sign him, and he went to LA. And I think he just kind of played that second year. This last season, he only played on it. On number 2 again. We don't technically know why, but I remember when that happened last year, people were wondering why he didn't already change it to 1 because Monk wasn't coming back. But he missed the cutoff deadline to submit to change it, is what James Borrego said. So it's been a long time coming. He's been waiting for it.
Yeah, it's better marketing. I think his logo is 1 with the wings on it. So it's
literally his logo on his shoes is with a 1 and he's rocking number 2. That's why I haven't bought a Melo jersey yet, is because I always figured he'd go to 1 when he had the chance. It just took longer than a lot of people thought.
And this is something I want to ask too. I mean, I guess before maybe we can move on. I know he's probably going to get that rookie max maybe in a year or 2. What's your thoughts with the LeVar thing? I mean, listen, he's a guy that's very, very vocal, and we could we see a possibility of him? Maybe it's crazy, but he could maybe turn that down and maybe look elsewhere and maybe try to get a trade because he wants to win, and he wants his guys and his sons in some big markets. Has that been a discussion over there in the Carolinas about that potentially happening down the road if there's no winning going forward?
So this is actually a really good question because when LaMelo was first drafted, I think that's why a lot of people wanted to stay away from him specifically was because of LeVar. It was what a lot of fans were chirping about when he was first drafted, along with the fact that he was just lanky and they didn't think he could finish at an NBA level or shoot, and it wasn't going to translate, which obviously hasn't been the case. But LeVar has been very oddly silent since LaMelo was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets. You might hear or see a picture of him. He's always at games when LiAngelo was in the G League, like him and his mom or his wife are in Greensboro watching LiAngelo play. But there has never been a story, never been a report about bad animosity between LeVar Ball, between LaMelo Ball, between coaching. I think when LaMelo was first there, Borrego didn't start him initially. And that, I think if that would have gone on much longer than it did, LeVar would have said something. But the people that were chirping about LaMelo not starting his rookie year didn't realize that Devontae Graham was playing really, really well. And LaMelo, that was right after the COVID year. They barely had a training camp. They hardly had a preseason. And it was bang, bang, bubble next draft next season was, and it was right back around. So I think Borrego did the right thing still to this day. And even then, you didn't hear anything from LeVar Ball. Okay. And even now that they're bringing back and making a bad PR decision in my mind to bring back Clifford, still nothing. And you want to know why I think that is because LeVar Ball, you can say whatever you want about LeVar Ball, but LeVar Ball is a brilliant businessman. Brilliant.
I say it all the time. Oh my God.
Like big baller brand, what he's done with all three of those boys. Not only is he a great businessman, but he's a great dad. You know, his methods you can disagree with all you want, but he's a freaking awesome dad.
At least he's there.
Right. And he's done everything he can, and he's supported those boys and not only supported them, but like I guess that's the same thing, been behind them, you know, been vocal that they are the best and they can be the best. He's never lost his faith. And I think what LeVar realizes is this dude is seeing Steph Curry on the back end of his career right now, just winning a championship. And Stephen Curry, Wardell Curry, is the entire Golden State Warriors organization. You know what I mean? From now and forever, when people think of the Golden State Warriors and what they have built and what they're going to be in the future, the same way people think of Tim Duncan and Greg Popovich now with the Spurs, they're going to think of Stephen Curry. And you know what LaMelo Ball can be to the city of Charlotte if they build around him correctly? Stephen Curry. He can win MVPs if they build the teams around him right enough. They can go to conference finals, I think, with a talent like this. And he can put Charlotte on the NBA radar like they never have been before. And I think LeVar Ball realizes that. You know what I mean? I think that's why he's letting it be patient, trying to let them go. But if it gets to extension time and they're not seeming serious, they haven't, you know, tried to push past this Miles situation, and they're using it as an excuse why they got to continue this rebuild. I would not be surprised to see him force out, because at some point you have to move on and go win. And, you know, regardless of the money, because Melo doesn't need NBA money. He's never going to need it for the rest of his life. He has more followers than the entire Charlotte Hornets.
Hasn't even touched it.
Right. Like LaMelo has more followers just on Instagram than the Charlotte Hornets have collectively across all of their social media platforms.
And that's mostly because of his dad too, you know? Like that name is known because of his dad.
Right. You know what I mean? Like that's what he could be to this city if they play it right. And I think LeVar knows that, which is why we haven't heard the kind of LeVar we heard before LaMelo got drafted, to be quite honest with you, because he didn't hesitate to talk when Lonzo was with the Lakers. Let's not forget.
Yep, exactly. And then another one too is last year. I really thought the Ball brothers were going to link up in Charlotte. I felt like it looked like a possibility.
Me too.
LeVar always talked about those guys being on the same team in the NBA, just like how they were back in Chino Hills during the high school days and all the success that they had. I was a little shocked when he went to Chicago. I thought it was, you know, they were going to team up, and that's why also the 1 and 2. I felt like there was a potentially that could have played a deal there with their jersey numbers. I think it's still possible. Lonzo's still really young. Maybe down the road, you know, they all come together. What was your
I don't think so though.
You don't think they'll ever be on the same team in the NBA?
Not if it's not now. I don't think later, because here's my reason. I've got older brothers that I play basketball with. If I was the best one on the team, I don't think either one of my brothers would want to come and play for their little brother. You know,
no, okay, but
you gotta put the ego to the side, man. I mean, we all know that LaMelo is way better than Lonzo at this point.
Right,
and I think they know that too. Like LiAngelo's not out here saying, you know what, I'm still better than. I mean, boy's barely in the NBA. Come on, like Lonzo has been around long enough in the league, long enough to know he ain't better than Melo. And here's what I think. You know, I thought it was going to happen last year too. I was a little disappointed to see him go to Chicago, but after they signed Caruso, it just kind of made sense. him, DeMar Caruso. Like, if DeMar was going to be, and Vucevic especially, were going to be your primary options, like, they had to have those two guys as the wing defenders they were last season before they got hurt. I think it's going to get to – Lonzo's going to get to the end of this contract. He's going to be closer to the end of his 20s and his prime of his career. And LaMelo, as he's peaking, is going to be better than Lonzo is in his prime. And their strengths and weaknesses have always complemented each other very, very well. Lonzo could be the perfect two guard this team has needed for forever. He can play the defense that this team has needed from the two guard position for forever. And not only that, they have chemistry that you could not pay for ever. And I think it would bleed through the rest of the team, just the energy that those guys would bring every single night. Like, they know each other and the way they play like the back of their hand. And you can't get that kind of opportunity. So I think once Hayward's contract has run its course and they have the money to do it, again, especially now that Miles isn't locked down on a max contract, I think Lonzo will come to Charlotte, and that might be their play to keep LaMelo in Charlotte if they're not good. Because if they can put the whole Ball family there, I mean, they'll just set up headquarters in Charlotte.
I definitely want to see it. I think it's possible. I think it's very possible we'll see them on the same team. Lonzo will be 28 by the end of this, 27, 28 by the end of that Chicago deal. And LaMelo will be, 24? So I think it's like you said, they complement each other perfectly. We saw Lonzo kind of be a 3-and-D guy in that last year in New Orleans. And he's still really, even in Chicago too, just because LaVine and DeRozan have the ball in their hands most of the time. So he has to play more off the ball. But that'd be exciting. Small market, definitely fans are going to pull up. The chemistry's there. The outlet passes. I'm down to see it. I'm down to see it if it happens.
Nice.
Exactly, it would be nice. All right, let's talk about something.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Okay.
That's before we move. Who said before we move on?
I did. I was going to ask a quick question, but if you got something, go ahead, and then we'll just go on.
Go ahead with your question. Then I got you.
Okay, I was just going to say before we move on, where do you think next year they end the season?
Ooh, quick fire. I think probably 10th or 11th. If they make the play in, they get blasted in the first game, and you're right back where we started this year. And they have a lottery pick, and hopefully they can do some dirty work in the 2023 free agency and really get LaMelo some help. But I was going to ask you guys to transition before CJ said it. Where the hell is KD going? You guys tell me. I'm interested to see what y'all think because I haven't really talked to anybody about this yet.
Nowhere.
That's
as of right now.
That's where I'm at now. Like, it's been so long. Like, I feel like if something was happening, it would have already happened. I feel like he's just going to be right back with the Nets.
But that kind of brings us to our next topic, isn't that right, CJ?
Yes, it is. That's a perfect segue, Owen. Yeah, so like really a few hours after the show ended, like Monday morning, it came out that Shams reported that the Nets and the Celtics were in some trade talks of potentially KD going to the Celtics. I'm going to pull this graphic up for the viewers. Appreciate you guys. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe.
Follow us, subscribe.
Sorry, you podcasters. You don't get to see this. But
and if you're listening too, wherever you get your podcast, make sure to leave us a 5-star rating with a comment. That'd be perfect, guys. Let us know how we're doing and what we need to work on. So yeah, let me pull this up. This is okay. That's a different topic. There we go.
I don't mind diving into that too as well.
Oh, I got plenty to. I was about to say I got plenty to say about that topic too. Y'all got a good slate tonight. What off season, dude? The off season in the NBA doesn't exist for people that talk NBA year round, and especially nowadays with the way the trade market is. If you're like, there's nothing to talk about, I can't make content. You're lying to yourself. You're playing yourself. There's always something to talk about in this league. It's why I love it so much.
Be creative.
Non-stop. So I'm gonna start with Michael. What's your thoughts on this deal? This was a proposed trade by between the Nets and the Celtics. You were kind of just saying a little bit earlier before we transition into this topic that KD's not going anywhere. It's all hogwash. Nothing's going to happen. Well, how do you see this playing out with KD in Brooklyn? It's been, a month now since the big request to trade day. And he kind of broke the NBA. How do you see it playing out now with about a couple months before training camp?
I really feel like the noise has kind of died down, but that's usually when we get hit with a surprise. But I feel like Brooklyn is going to keep KD and Kyrie at the end of the day. So, but with the trade, if I'm Boston, I don't know if I want to get rid of Jaylen Brown. Derek White, I think, is a good guy. He played excellent minutes last year. This year, Brooklyn proposed Jaylen. I'm just going to read it out. Boston proposed Jaylen Brown, Derek White for Durant. Got declined. So Brooklyn proposed Brown, Marcus Smart, and multiple first rounds, and another rotation player for KD. Boston declines, of course. Excuse me. Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown with a first-round pick, I think, is just completely disrespectful to Boston. Boston was right there at it this year. I mean, they played great. They were in the finals. You just had Stephen Curry. Now, I feel like the team, another year under their belt with the new coach, Brad Stevens in the front office, they keep working at what they changed. I want to say it was like January. We've said so many times that they made the rotations or switched whatever they did, come back, made some tweets about how much better they're going to be. And they were the best team. But having a lot of people on my Twitter account, apparently I'm in with the Boston follows a little bit. Some people are like, they wanted this trade. And I'm just like, I'd rather keep Jaylen Brown and kind of work with what I've got. Marcus Smart, I think, is a very big X-factor player that gets underrated. A lot of stuff that he does defensively, just the mental heckling he does for the opposing players. I would rather keep this because Kevin Durant giving up Jaylen Brown, okay, with Derek White, I would be fine with that trade. Maybe even going with the Derek White, Jaylen Brown, and the first-round pick or multiple if that's what you want to do, because apparently first-round picks is what we throw around like crazy to every trade now. But giving up Smart, Jaylen Brown, and the picks, I'm totally no way doing that. What about you guys?
Yeah, Nick, what's your thoughts on this trade, brother?
I wouldn't do this trade. This is just my honest opinion. I mean, I think everyone's kind of gravitating to the trade because of the name. It's Kevin Durant at the end of the day. And we know that KD is who he is, two-time champion, former MVP, two-time finals MVP. So, we get it. Like, I wouldn't be concerned with the pairing of a Tatum and a KD just because, Tatum has really evolved as much as a playmaker, as a pretty good on-ball defender. So Tatum can play alongside a guy like KD. But I'm honestly against breaking up that duo. Tatum and Brown have figured out, how to win, how to get to the finals. Jaylen Brown at this stage, is a better defender than KD. We know that KD is who he is on the offensive end, but Jaylen Brown definitely provides better, more quality on the defensive end than KD does. And then on top of that, KD is 34 years old with injury history. So it's like, are you willing to give up, one of your young guys that that you help grow, and you've seen evolve, for a guy that, that has multiple injury history. So we get it, KD is KD at the end of the day, but if I'm Brad Stevens, I wouldn't make this trade.
What about you, Owen?
Yeah, it's on you, bro.
So I have been all over the place about this. I've been all over the place about this trade, man, because I've seen the proposed that you guys have brought up. I've seen the Jaylen Brown. I've seen with Smart. I've seen without Smart. I think either way you slice it, especially including Smart, that's got to be a no-go for Boston. I mean, the dude just won Defensive Player of the Year. I know he didn't have the greatest playoff series for how excited he was going into it after the award was announced. But I'm at the place where I think now I love Jaylen Brown. They were just in the finals, but let's not even talk about the finals last year. I think Udoka coached about as well as he could have. I think the Warriors' scheme was just too much for them. They had been there before, and the age just showed, and that's fine. But let's look at the East next year. Is it super deep like the West? No. But are we super confident this core with the Celtics can go toe-to-toe with Giannis and a healthy Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday next year? I really don't know, because off rip, I'd take Drew Holiday over Marcus Smart any day of the week.
100%.
I love Jaylen Brown, but I mean, I love Jaylen Brown, but I don't look at him much better than Chris Middleton. Jaylen Brown is a one-time All-Star, guys. A one-time All-Star. He is a, for sure, top 30 player, fringe 25 probably off top of my head. And if we're talking about trading, it's Kevin freaking Durant, man. 4 years of Kevin Durant. Yeah, he's 34, and I think Brown is only 24. Maybe a little bit younger than that even. But Tatum, if they can get that trade done without including Marcus Smart, and they can field a lineup somewhat next year of Smart, Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, Time Lord, and Al Horford, I mean, that is a better team than what they are right now, in my opinion. The depth wouldn't be there after they gave up probably Derek White, a bunch of picks. I'm trying to think of who else. Maybe they'd want Time Lord, to be honest with you. I'm not sure off the top of my head. But
yeah, there was some trade scenarios with Williams in there as well. But
this brings up an even bigger conversation in the NBA to me, because how much is a championship window worth to Boston? Are they confident that Brown is going to get even better, or do they think he's going to be the same guy he's always been, and this is about the best they're going to get from him? Same Tatum with Tatum. Oh my God, my words. Same question with Tatum, quite honestly, right now. Is he going to get even better, or is this kind of mini Kevin Durant that he is right now about as good as he's going to get as he starts to enter his prime here soon? It's tough, because Kevin Durant gets you a for sure probably Eastern Conference Finals bout unless you see the Bucks in the second round and get bounced. But if you have that team and you're going up against Giannis with KD and Jason Tatum and Marcus Smart as your three-headed monster against theirs, I like the Celtics' chance more than I do right now with the core that they have right now, much less whatever monster they're going to face in the West if they even make it to the finals, because whoever makes it to the finals out of the West next year is going to be battle-tested to their core. They are going to have fought all 3 rounds all of their life just to make it to the finals. And it's not going to be easy to beat anybody that makes it there. So I'm kind of fringing on trading for Durant to win a title in the next 2-year window, because they'd probably be better in the next 2 years with Durant than with Tatum is worth giving up the assets, because you might not ever even make it back to the finals again with this core as it stands. I think for a certainty you're going to have the best chance of any East team along with the Bucks to make it to the finals the next 2 years if you trade for Kevin Durant now. And to me, that's worth the assets.
Right. So basically, what you're seeing is, this is like kind of like a situation for the Celtics to put themselves in if they want to win right now. So, it's not really looking at 4, 5, 6 years from now. It's basically all off of, like how good Kevin Durant is right now, being at 34 years old, how good Jason Tatum is, basically like the next 2 to 3 years, like, what their ceiling is.
Man, they need to run it back with the same team they had. They had a great run. Number 2 team in the East. Yeah. Yeah, the number 2 team in the Eastern Conference.
No, you go ahead, CJ.
Yeah. This this trade. I'm not doing this, man. KD, listen, bro. Like, in my opinion, just running back with Kyrie and Ben Simmons. I want to see what that looks like. Now, I'm not a fan of Steve Nash as a head coach. I think he's pretty overrated. I think his coaching style is Mike D'Antoni's coaching style, and we see how that translates. Yeah.
Can I play a quick devil's advocate for Steve Nash, though?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
I guess I am on a bit of a delay.
Yeah.
Anyway, to fight for Steve Nash just a little bit here. Okay, schematically, we saw it last year. He didn't really have much of a plan on offense other than just like handing it to whatever superstar was available that night on the floor and let him play iso ball, like you said. Homage to that Mike D'Antoni offense, but he was also still fresh into it, and for all the stuff he had to deal with, like, he didn't handle it horribly, but they could do better, I guess. You're right. I just feel for Steve Nash. Like, he gets the shot, and this is like the worst position any new head coach, former player or not, could have been tossed into.
Yeah, I agree. He definitely he handled it well. From that standpoint, off the court things and everything that transpired with Kyrie and then Ben coming in, and was he going to play? Is he not going to play? For sure, he definitely handled it. I'm just saying schematically is just we've seen this story already. We've seen this story for like 18 years. So it's 16. So we already know what's going to happen. We saw it in Houston. We saw it in Phoenix. And just because those guys are extremely talented, that doesn't mean you go up against the wrong team. Styles make fights, and they went up against the wrong style in Boston, and that's why they got the brooms sent to them in Brooklyn. So from Brooklyn's standpoint, run it back and adjust this scheme. Yeah, of course, late in the shot clock, situational basketball. Of course, you want to have those guys have the basketball in their hands, but you got to have more of a complex offense. KD just came from a complex offense in Golden State. That's why they won the championship. So it's a little weird to me how he's just easily, and even Kyrie too. I mean, it was much more complex in Cleveland than what we saw in Brooklyn when he was with LeBron. So it's weird to me how they're just just okay with doing this ISO ball, knowing it takes a lot more than that to win a championship. I think bringing Ben in, him being healthy, I think that definitely brings a different dynamic to that team. He doesn't need to be a scorer; he could be a star in all the other roles that he does really well: playmaking, defense, running the floor. The versatility, playing 1 through 5, defending 1 through 5. I think they're right. They're gonna be right there in the mix in the Eastern Conference if all three of those guys are healthy. So I don't understand why they want to break the team up so quickly. I just think they're a little emotional.
I agree with that too. To play again devil's advocate here, like now that Ayton is signed, I just don't really see much of a feasible trade candidate outside of either Golden State, which that has kind of fizzled out, and Toronto, who apparently doesn't want to give up Scotty Barnes, which I can't really blame him. That dude's a stud. If he comes back because Boston doesn't want to give up the mother load to get him, then you're right, man. And I have seen an ungodly amount of disrespect for Joe Harris since he's been injured. Okay. I am not a Joe Harris truther by any means, but we are not far removed here, guys, from people being like, oh my God, Joe Harris is like the perfect, he can play a little defense. He can catch and shoot. He can shoot off the dribble. One of the best percentage 3-point shooter guys. He was in the 3-point contest, in the entire NBA. And now people are just kind of looking at him like he wouldn't matter to that team if they're able to field Simmons, Kyrie, KD, Harris, and who would play center for them?
O'Neal in the offseason, quality 3-and-D guy. They picked up TJ Warren.
Royce O'Neal probably.
TJ Warren, Bubble Legend.
That's right. And
it's like they got some good Seth Curry still there. Like they got some good players.
Yeah. Cam Thomas too.
Yeah,
I mean, they are trying to win now. Like when they traded for Royce O'Neal, I know we all saw the meme from Windhorse, but like when they traded for O'Neal, I remember even thinking then, like, okay, they're still trying to win. I mean, he is a perfect 3-and-D rotational player for any team that's trying to contend, which is what Utah saw him as. And like you said, Cam Thomas, man, I completely forgot about him. I love him. He was great at LSU too. I mean, they're going to be able to run lineups where Ben Simmons can play center and doesn't have to do anything but guard the best player and rebound the ball and stand in the paint on offense and move around and set screens. Like that is his dream basketball situation, right?
Like, yeah, absolutely. But why do we think KD and Kyrie want traded then? Because, I mean, really, if this team stays together, is this not a great team that they have? Like, they have to be one of the front runners from the East automatically. Right?
In my opinion, they'll be a good team just because of who they have: Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons. But I don't see them being better than Milwaukee. I don't see them being better than Boston. I don't see them being better, even Philly to a degree.
I don't know about that.
I mean,
PJ Tucker is the answer, bro.
PJ Tucker is the answer.
Is he?
I don't think.
I don't know. It sounds like to me that James Harden's conditioning has been the answer here recently. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't really see, like I was just saying, I don't see a clear cut favorite in the Eastern Conference, in my opinion. We just saw the Bucks go to the finals 2 years ago. We saw the Celtics go there last year. 2 years before that, Miami was in there. So it's just like it's just been a revolving door of top Eastern Conference teams. So I think if Brooklyn could get hot, just like how the Celtics got hot and went on a good run,
it's very possible. Those guys are still very clutch situational basketball wise between KD and Kyrie. I mean, of course, those guys, Milwaukee, they have the experience. They've been there. They've won it already. So they know what it takes. So definitely, you're going to give those guys the edge. But that's, if they're facing up, that's a toss-up. I don't think it's just a, clear cut, Milwaukee automatically got it. So that's what I'm saying. Like the team that Sean Marks, Joe Tsai, that they've built, it's not, they still worked and got players in the offseason despite both of these guys, claiming that they want out. I think they need to come together in about a couple weeks or so, go on a little vacation, chop it up, and be like, yo, like, let's give it one more year. Kyrie he opted in for one more year, $37.6 million for this last year. It's a big year for Kyrie too. If he wants to get the Lillard max, it's a big year for him. You got to stay healthy. You got to stay on the court.
And that's the thing, though, like, are you banking on Kyrie staying healthy? But not only staying healthy, are you banking on him, like, just being available in general throughout, like, good stretches of the season?
I'll give him a pass. Last year was such a weird time. And, again, that mandate, that's a different type of podcast. You know what I'm saying? But wasn't the biggest fan of that. But it was weird. It was a weird year, and so I think this year with that not being a distraction, it should be no excuses. And again, he wants to get paid. This is he only has 1 year left on his deal. He's 29, so he could easily get that 5-year, $260-something million contract if once that's available, and just keep running it with KD. I don't see a situation where it's better than what he has right now at Brooklyn, other than LeBron. That's it. That's the only other spot. It's either playing with LeBron or playing with KD. There's no other place where he's gonna have the best chance to win a championship. So run it back. Put your egos aside, or whatever's going on. We don't really know the truth. We hear stories from guys and reporters. We don't know what's really going on. But put your egos aside and just make it work, because I do think they have a good team. And then from Boston's standpoint, yeah, I'm glad Boston declined this. You got to run it back. You got 2 young studs at the wing position. They had their best year. They have a ton of experience. Probably more experience from a young core that we've seen in a very long time. We haven't seen a young core with this type of experience. The amount of Eastern Conference Finals appearances they've been to, the Game 7s they've been in, like they've been here. They have a ton of experience, and you just don't break that up. There were talks about breaking that up early in the season, and then they came together, and we saw the magical season that they had and winning the Eastern Conference. So. Keep those guys. I like the Brogdon pickup. I like bringing in Gallinari off the bench, knocking down some shots. Brogdon could be a playmaker a little bit. If they want to play that small ball 5, he doesn't have to necessarily, be the guy, very efficient, former 50, 40, 90 guy. I mean, I think both of these teams are good where they're at. I don't think they should even be talking about a potential trade. And again, it's just, when we talk about these trades, it's really just – it's just egos, man. Put these egos aside. I want to see some good basketball. These guys need to stay and just run it, man. Just stop running from the grind. Like, stop running from the grind, man. Just keep it going. Come on, man. I'm getting tired of this. I mean, I'm all for player empowerment, but it comes to a point where it's like, when you have a good team around you, it's like, what are you really complaining about? LeBron in Cleveland, it's like, okay, all right, I get it. It was time for him to dip. But
the first time or the second time?
The first time.
Okay.
In Cleveland? It was time for him to dip?
The first time in Cleveland, yeah, it was time for him to go. It was maxed out. They went to the finals in 2007 and got swept, and then they kept losing to Boston.
You're talking about LeBron? I thought you were talking about Kyrie for a sec.
No. I'm talking about LeBron. No, I'm saying LeBron. Yeah. I get it. Like, I get the first time for Durant. I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of the destination, but we see what playing with Westbrook as your second option takes you. So I got that too. But this right here, come on, man. You got to at least give it 1 more year and see how it plays out.
So, but with that being said, I want to say this, because I think we're all kind of agree, like, we think there's a trade that could happen there, but we'd like to see both teams stay and run it back, right?
Yeah. So,
with that being said, though, like, how do you know when you stay too long with that team and not left? Like, is Lillard wasting his prime in Portland because he stayed so long?
No. It's a beautiful trade.
Oh, I heard yes and no. Did you think like that, CJ? Thank you. So, Let's just start here then, because we're getting two different answers, and I'm loving it because we want some.
I'll let Owen go first because I definitely have a lot to say. But you go
before
first.
that. Before that, I want to play this clip by J.R. Smith because this is really where this came from. J.R. Smith was on Gilbert Arenas, podcast, and he spoke about this, and I want to get this on audio for our listeners.
Okay.
All right.
Shout out CJ in this stuff too, by the way.
Definitely dope work, good preparation.
I love his game. I respect him for, doing what he's doing, but at the same time, it's like, you just going to rock in the cold world. Like, you are unbelievable. You 2.0. Literally, like, go give me a bucket. He's going to get it. And he's showing up, he's going to play all this stuff, all of that. But I'm not Brad. It's nice. I'm not the rotten DC, but it's a nice place. But I'm just saying, I'm not my career. Like, I'm trying to win, bro. That's how I feel about that.
There's a second slide right here.
But you know what? That's 190 something. So the extra 250, it's one of those things where it's like I'm at 250, right? You offer me 250, and this like this other team is offering me like 190. And that's a real championship. I'm going to take it. The reason I'm going to take it is because the people you put in front of me are not even close to my stature, but because they got a ring, they get pushed in front of me.
So that's the thing, though. Like, as soon as you bring up money in the conversation, like it's kind of hard to argue. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nobody gonna argue about the 250 M's.
Right. And it's not even so much the money that, you could use as like your primary pushing point. And like you said, a lot of people just kind of concede that because how could you give up the biggest bag you could possibly get in the moment? Like, props to him, and he deserves it. I mean, despite the couple of, small playoff moments, like, I don't like discrediting that Western Conference Finals they went to. I mean, they were a couple bounces of the ball from probably winning a few games in that series. Like, we just kind of pushed that aside, like, oh, it's about time they got there and even had a chance. But that was a good team, man. And Dame has had some of the, like, all-time playoff moments. I mean, that wave might be playing in my brain when I think of the NBA and Paul George specifically for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? And the reason I say no, and I don't agree with J.R. Smith, is because that's the kind of mentality that CJ kind of touched on it a second ago about player empowerment. I'm so for player empowerment, but at some level, I mean, what happened to the guys that wanted to stay home to the city that drafted them and build something and be proud of, winning 1-2 if you could do more because you were good enough and you help your team enough, build a dynasty and like be forever remembered and cherished by not just that city, but that entire organization and franchise. And I think Dame just has that kind of love for the city of Portland and that organization for what they've done for him. And they did about as much as they could do, man. I hate that now they're not going to be much more than probably a play-in team, but Dame is going to have a statue outside of that arena when it's said and done. And if we're talking about being remembered, did he go win a championship, and will he by the end of his career? Probably not, but he is going to be forever immortalized in the city of Portland, whether he wins a championship or not. And I think that means more to him at this point than a ring.
So let's hear you now. There we
go. So my whole take is, I mean, you definitely make valid points, and I'm not going to disagree with that. But my problem is I don't have an issue, with guys who want to stick with the team that drafted them and play the whole career in that one area. We've seen it in the past, Tim Duncan, Kobe, Dirk. We've seen it on many occasions, in the past. My only issue is I just don't like when the player is doing all that they can to, to put the team in a winning position, but the front office isn't really doing the same thing as well. And we've seen over the past few years, like Portland has never really been one of the top contenders in the Western Conference, which is one of the issues that I had. I mean, I get it. They just got guys like Shaedon Sharpe. They just traded for Jeremy Grant. But where is that really going to get you? Like, what is Portland ceiling with that type of roster? You know what I'm saying? So my whole thing is that, Dame has done so much for Portland. but it seemed like the front office hasn't really done enough for him. And we've seen it in the past. You know, we get it. You know, they had that one Western Conference Finals appearance, but they have way more first round bounces than they do as far as, like, you know, getting out of the first round. So that's my only problem with it. And even looking into this year, I don't really see much of a difference. So that's one of the issues that I have. I mean, of course, you know, I agree with you. You know, he deserves the money at the end of the day. Like, you know, he definitely deserves that, you know, and I'm not mad at him for getting that. But I just wish that, you know, Dame was just in a better position where he could possibly get a ring, rather than, you know, the situation that he's in right now, as far as, like, you know, being in a winning position.
Yeah, Michael, you could go, bro. What's your thoughts on this?
Okay. I say yes to both sides.
It's definitely
Go ahead, Owen. You got a delay. You don't know when we quit. Go ahead. What you got?
Go ahead, Michael. Sorry, my audio is way behind y'all's.
I'm just gonna wait.
Sorry.
Yeah, Michael, go ahead, bro.
Okay.
All right. I guess I'll just go ahead then, man. God.
Oh my God, I love it. Owen, I'm gonna wait because I want to hear you speak more than myself.
I'm done. God. Okay. I'm actually going this time for real. Jesus Christ. Okay. I love Dame. You know, when you look at it, the kind of dynasties that have been around since he's been in the NBA. I mean, he came in right, if I'm not mistaken, right towards the end of the Spurs, and then that went right into what the Warriors have done in the past. And yeah, the West is kind of wide open right now, but it's about as deep as that conference has ever been. There's so many young superstars. There's so many old established superstars. There's teams that have won championships. There's teams that haven't, with guys that have championship experience. I mean, there's so much going on in the Western Conference right now that I don't know if there's ever really been a point outside of Dame just up and like peace out and saying bye to Portland and dipping for another team. I just don't know that there was ever really a way for him to have much more of a chance outside of the Blazers pushing for another superstar. And I just don't know that was ever a realistic option, or they ever had the pieces that could have realistically gotten them another guy that put them over the hump enough to get to a championship level.
Hold on. I think we're good, Michael.
Okay. I'm going to say, I will give you an answer what I think, but I agree with both because I think Dame's loyalty that he's proven to here is great, and he's not wasted his prime with that because he's staying loyal to this team and pushing forward to win a championship with this team. Now, period. Second, over to this other side. I think he does need to go somewhere else because Portland has not showed that they can make a winning team around him yet. So that's where I kind of in both situations here. Yes, I love flat-out loyalty because even the teams that are players that Nick mentioned, Tim Duncan, I can't remember the other two, but those were the solid players, like top 10 players of that era of like who you would build your franchise around. That's one reason, and I'm going to go ahead and say, of course, I hate LeBron James. I don't respect LeBron so much because he is that top-tier player, but he's bouncing around. I want to see the loyalty from those superstars to make the team that they were drafted by grind to be a contender. That's me. I know everyone wants to be different. To me, it's a cop-out to go to another team and stack a team. Now, Portland has been failing to put a good team around Dame. And so I'm going to say I respect Dame to stay there, but at some point you have to break up with the crazy girlfriend and possibly move on. So with that being said, I love what Dame has done up until now. Stay with who you got, stay with them, and it's more than basketball to him. You see what all the things he does outside the state or the arena with the people in the community. So we love what he does for the area, of course. But if he does want to be the best player that he can be or win a ring, then he may have to say, hey, Portland, there's two ways you can go about this. Sorry, I'm going around here. You put a team with me or I have to go somewhere else. Or maybe Dame says, hey, don't pay me so much so we can pay someone else to come up here and play. So to me, it's got to come to what's he want to do.
Loyalty works both ways. It works both ways. I really think that's kind of to summarize what everyone's saying.
That's the easiest way to say it. Thank you, CJ. Why didn't you just tell me that like 10 minutes ago when I could have not said a word?
Is my audio a little more real time now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah,
a little bit better. Yeah,
we should have waited, guys. We should have waited like 5 seconds before we responded back to it.
It's not your responses are still lagging.
Oh man, that's tough. All right. When it's cool. We'll give you some time, and then we'll say your name and then give you some time.
Yeah, we can work with it.
But for me, yeah, I'm right there with you guys. I don't see the vision from the front office for Portland. I really don't. I just don't know what they got going on. I mean, Grant, it's a nice little move. Getting Jeremy Grant, it's a nice little cute move. But
cute move.
Yeah, it was a little cute move. It was all right. It was like, oh, they got Grant. Okay, cool. But is it game changing? Is it Western Conference? Threatening change? No, it's not. So. Dame apparently had that abdominal injury that he said it was been bothering him for a few years. He got it fixed now. So he said that just felt great. Expect him to have a great year because he was struggling earlier in the season. Everybody was like, "What's going on? Is he playing bad to try to get out?" All these narratives started to come afloat. But now we know what really happened. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, you take that money, no doubt. Someone's offering you 2 years, 122 mil. You got to take that. There's no questions asked. I think you'll give him a year, and then next year I think we're having a conversation of where Damian Lillard will be going next season because I look at the teams in the Western Conference, and they aren't even close to these squads. The Timberwolves usurped them already.
They really might not even make the play-in tournament. I mean, if we're thinking about the Western Conference here, and I'm just going to really rattle off some teams without even looking at the standings here. The Warriors, the Nuggets, the Clippers. I wouldn't even really put the Lakers in there right now, but I'm going to say them because I think they're better than the Blazers right now. That's 4. That the Timberwolves are significantly better than the Blazers now. The Pelicans are going to have a chance. Who else am I missing here off the top of my head?
So the Clippers?
I can't see the thing you're holding up.
The Nuggets.
Michael has a message.
I cannot see who you're holding up.
It's Zion. It's Zion.
The Pelicans.
I couldn't tell who it was given to be real.
I said the Pelicans already, to be fair.
Got the Nuggets, the Mavs. Nuggets, Mavs, Phoenix.
The Mavs, yeah. I mean, I forgot about Luka. The Suns are going to be right back up there. I mean, who else are we missing here? Like the Blazers weren't terrible last year, but I mean, I don't see it. The Kings are going to be a little bit better. I think they're not going to be great, but they're going to be a little bit better, and I think they're a little bit more talented and a little bit deeper overall than Portland right now. I completely forgot about the Memphis Grizzlies, and they're significantly better. Yeah. I mean, Nuggets, Wolves, Suns, Warriors, Clippers, Lakers, Grizzlies, Mavericks, Pelicans, all better right now than Portland. And I think they're probably going to miss the play-in, and if they do, they're barely going to make it.
Do we think mid-season trade maybe?
It's possible. I could see a mid-season trade.
He got his money.
Yeah, he
trade him away.
He got the bread. I mean, I get it. He's loyal. They took a chance on him. This guy went to Weber State. We've never seen a guy get drafted up the first round out of Weber State, man. Let's keep it a stack. So,
dang, bro.
No, but it's a fact. I mean, he came from I'm just saying he came from the mud. He just came from the mud. I mean,
where's Weber State even at?
Couldn't tell you off top. Really couldn't. to be honest with you.
I apologize to anybody who's from maybe watching come from Weber State.
Portland.
I mean, hey, but so they took a chance on him. I remember when he got drafted too. They was like, "What? Weber State? Like, who is this? Who is this guy?" You see the Modelo commercial. I mean, I'll tell you everything right there. How he came from the bottom. So, I understand the loyalty, and he's brought a lot of memory. He's brought a lot of memories to that franchise, especially after injury career of Roy and Odin. And those they were supposed to be those guys for Portland, and then he comes in and has a phenomenal career. So I get it, but like you guys are saying, it comes a time where he's 30, 32, and probably got six great years left. You see Chris Paul playing at 38. I think Steph could probably get there to late 30s as well. Probably got 6 great years left at high level point guard play. So the time is now. If you want to win if you want to win a championship, I just don't see it in Portland right now. I really don't. And they're not going to be so bad to where they're going to get some of these top guys in the 23 draft. So they're going to be right. They got the 7th pick, but I don't think that's going to be good enough next year. They need 1 or 2. They need to get Wembanyama. They got to get that number 1 pick.
I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real, guys. I really think that the Thunder might be better than the Blazers this year. Like that is kind of a stretch, but
Houston might be too.
SGA. I mean, I really like Holmgren. I'm not gonna lie. They have an interesting. Houston is the worst team in the West. Jalen Green, I love what Houston is doing. They're sitting here looking. The Jazz are probably, especially if they move off Mitchell, will probably be the Kings are down there too. But they're not far from the bottom, dude. They're not far from the bottom, and I don't think Damian Lillard likes that at all.
Definitely, yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out. It really is. All right, let's transition back to the Eastern Conference. Tampering investigation.
Oh my God!
Again, yeah, these talks popped around a little bit with the Mavericks and Jalen Brunson and the Knicks situation in free agency. Woj had reported that the NBA is investigating now the Sixers with Daryl Morey and James Harden and Daniel House and PJ Tucker deals being a little bit questionable as to how that transpired so quickly. I'll start with Owen here. What's your thoughts on this? And I mean, I really don't want to. Me even asking how it's going to play out is really a bad question because nothing's going to happen, in my opinion. But what's your thoughts on this? And then I guess too, because we have really didn't get your opinion on the Sixers too much. But how do you see this team in the Eastern Conference?
So the tampering thing, you're exactly right. I mean, nothing's going to come out of this. Even if they did tamper with Harden, like the way that situation with Harden was going on, how could you not have tampered with him? Like you had to check in and make sure things were okay. His conditioning was terrible. You were giving up a complete haul for him to try and, put him next to Joel Embiid. And I mean, it was just a whole mess. They had to do their due diligence, and I'm sure that included some tampering, and absolutely nothing's going to come of it. But Joel Embiid is one of my favorite players to watch in the entire NBA. It's finally starting to seem like he's getting some real health under him, but even in the playoffs, like he wasn't getting any major injuries. It was just, it seems like it's inevitable. He's getting dinged up. It's a finger. He's having to wear a mask the game after that. Like he just can't stay out of it. And I hate that for him because he's one of the most elite big men I've ever watched. Legitimately. I love watching him play. And I knew before Harden got traded there that despite Harden's inefficiencies defensively, like they were just going to be so dynamic together, especially in the pick and roll game offensively. If Harden had any step left from Houston in him, especially in that step back ISO game, like they were going to be fun. And they have a lot of good pieces around them right now, man. I mean, they were a good team. Say what you want about Tobias Harris, but he's still one of the best stretch fours in the NBA when his 3-point shot is hitting. And Tyrese Maxey is an extremely good role player. And I mean, James Harden and Joel Embiid, to me, is good enough to get you top 4 in the East at least, and they're really competing with Miami. They're under Boston and Milwaukee. Brooklyn, TBA. If they come back like they are, they're probably fighting for 4th and 5th with Miami, but they're going to finish in the top 5 in the East for sure. And if we keep seeing that Harden is supposed to be taking his conditioning super seriously now, I don't know how seriously I believe that, to be quite honest with you. We've never seen it. It's one of those, like when LeBron was, going on his finals run, like I wasn't going to bet against him until I saw it. It was a believe it till I see it thing. He's going until he proves me otherwise. And James Harden is going to be out of shape and bad defensively until at this point he proves me otherwise. But he's always going to be a plus for you offensively, and that's going to win them a lot of regular season games. But unless Joel Embiid goes off, I don't see them getting past the second round, and they might be lucky to get out of the first round.
Wow. I'll play devil's advocate a little bit with Harden and the conditioning. And when he was in Houston, man, he was there. He was durable. I mean, he was playing like 80 some odd games a year. He was there. He was there a rock. But he did get some injuries with the hamstring in Brooklyn, and that's really kind of, and then also, on the way out in Houston, he definitely ballooned up and got big and decided to check out. But
ballooned up.
Yeah. And but yeah, I think the hamstring injuries definitely played a factor over these last 2 years for James Harden. For Harden, this again, we've talked about this a lot, but it's the time is now, man. The time is now, bro. Like, you're playing with one of the best players in the NBA and Joel Embiid, like you just talked about. You got your guys and PJ Tucker and Daniel House from back in the Houston days. You got those guys sitting on the bench now that you could chop it up with and talk to. The one thing I like that I saw this offseason, two things. I saw 2 videos of him working out. I think he was running the hills. That shows me that he's healthy. He's getting in tip top shape. And then also I saw him working out with Sam Cassell and Tyrese Maxey, and I saw him. They were doing a drill that involved mid-range shots. He needs to get back to that. When he first got to Houston, when Kevin McHale was the head coach, he was taking some mid-range shots, and you need a counter to that step back shot, because you're doing these step back threes the whole entire game. Your legs are going to get tired. You're not a robot, and you can't. Your legs are going to get shot, and those shots that you may have made in the first 3 quarters, once the fourth quarter comes around, they're going to be short. You need counter moves.
Or game 7.
Yeah, exactly. In a rough series, rough series throughout the game. And that's why the Warriors always felt like they could win those series, because it was just, dribble, step back 3 for 48 minutes. That, it's a lifespan on that. So you need a counter move, and I think the mid range is perfect. He has the size. He's definitely stronger than a lot of people think. He could use his size to get some separation in that mid range, kind of like a Paul Pierce type playing style. And the older you get, you should get closer to the basket. Like, that's how you're supposed to play. I mean, Jordan did it, Kobe did it. So we seen LeBron do it as well, taking some more fadeaways, mid-range shots. So this is what I need to see from Harden, man. And then also Tobias is like, I mean, he's a quality role player. He's a good role player. I know the contract is what it is, but I'm not expecting too much from him. I want to see Maxey. That's their big 3: Maxey, Embiid, and Harden. That's the big 3 right there. Mm-hmm. And those other guys space the floor, knock down shots, do the little things in order to help the team win. This team, they have to get past the second round. Joel Embiid hasn't been past the second round his entire career. That's crazy. As talented as he is, he hasn't touched the Eastern Conference Finals. That's crazy. So, Harden and Embiid are in, interesting territory right now. And I think if they can stay healthy, they got a shot to make a run. And Doc Rivers, too. Doc Rivers, we talked about this last time. Doc Rivers hasn't been out the second round since the Celtics days. It's a lot of pressure on those 3 guys right there to get it done. If not, we already know who's going to get moved first. It's obviously going to be Doc Rivers if they don't get it done. Yeah, it's time to start getting some wins and start making a deep playoff run, bro. What you laughing for, man?
Dude, Doc Rivers cannot win for nothing, man.
You hit the nail on the absolute head, man.
Yeah, he can't win. But I'll say Doc this Rivers, as far as on.
I like the guy to death.
Doc Rivers has 2 blown 3-1 leads for the Clippers. Yo, man,
here we go again. My bad, guys. I love Doc Rivers to death. I do. I love him, but he might be one of the most overrated coaches in NBA history. That's all I was trying to say.
And I think that needs to be said now. Like, I think that is a fair assessment that's kind of not being said now. I'll say this, and I'll get back to your point here. Like, the Boston championship, I mean, they had a big 3 and a Rondo who was getting like almost quadruple doubles. 10 points, 10 rebounds, 10 steals, 10 assists.
Facts.
So they basically had a 4 strong. But I will say this in the closing here, we'll end on out on the show on this. The tampering, we all know tampering happens. Wish they would probably do something about it. But I tell you this, if I'm Dame, I'm going to be tampering as much as I can this season. Because if they don't do something in Portland, and we're not saying Portland gets some kind of tampering thing next year, he's got to go. So with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and wrap this show on up. Thank you. Oh, you okay, Nick?
I don't know how Doc Rivers keeps getting a job, yo.
Off that championship.
That
One more topic though. I don't know if you guys are.
Yeah, let's do it.
You guys press for time or?
I know Owen's got to get going here soon. I don't know if he's got time. We were talking about maybe ending at 11. What was the other topic?
Oh yeah, we just do some Charlotte Hornets trivia for Owen. You know, obviously the big Hornets fan. I go through a couple questions. Owen, you got some time?
Okay, I kind of want to go with the trip. Let's do some trivia, man. I'm here for it.
All right, we'll be quick.
All right, yeah. All right, let's do it. Let me pull this up for you guys. And let's get this.
Interesting. And while we wait on this to be pulled up, Owen, if you start saying something, just go ahead. It's fine. We've already paused for you.
Okay.
All right, here we go. All right, Charlotte Hornets trivia. This is usefultrivia.com. Shout out to these guys, man.
This is cool.
Sponsor us. Nah.
Okay.
All right. All right. Question number 1. What year were the Charlotte Hornets originally founded? You know, obviously, Owen, this is for Owen. Give him some time.
Okay. But I'm gonna say, like, are we allowed to answer, or is it just?
Okay, I gotta look at the answers here. It's 88. It's 88.
Okay. I agree.
Right.
Hey, yo, you can't look up the answers.
No, he said looking at the answers on the screen.
Yes, sir.
That one was easy, I think.
Very easy. All right, here's the second question. Who was the Hornets' very first draft pick? We got option A, J.R. Reed. Option 2, Larry Johnson. C, Kendall Gill. D, Rex Chapman.
You probably do need to read it out for our audio audience.
Ooh, man. This is a tough one. And I want to say Larry Johnson off the top of my head, but I think it's Rex Chapman, but I'm not. I don't know. Kendall Gill is kind of throwing me off here too.
Need a lifeline?
Let's go Rex. Let's go Rex. That sounds the most right here off the top of my head.
Kentucky boy.
All right, let's see. That is correct.
Sir.
Rex Chapman, 8th
The only
overall.
one to trash talk Michael Jordan.
Oh boy,
He had that one great game against Jordan. Facts.
Yeah.
That's what everybody remembers him for. All right, question 3. What is the name of
this one's easy. You ain't got to read it off. It's Hugo.
Okay. Hugo. Here we go. All right, Hugo the Hornet. Shout out to him.
I think I know this next answer.
This should be a layup, but I'll say it. All right. Who was the first Hornet with 253 pointers in a season? We got A, Glenn Rice, B, Jason Richardson, C, Devontae Graham, D, Kemba Walker.
Did J. Rich play for Charlotte?
I'm pretty sure it's Glenn Rice.
Going Glenn Rice. You guys got
it.
Yes,
Jason Richardson did play for Charlotte. I want to say Kemba, but I feel like Kemba's too recent. I'm pretty sure Glenn was the first one.
I would say Graham because 250 in a season, I mean, that's something they didn't do in the 90s too much. Well, I mean, shoot that many threes.
It's got to be Glenn.
All right, let's see. It was not Glenn Rice. Looking like Michael might be on the right track here. Kemba, let's see Kemba. Kemba Walker.
Wow.
2019.
In 2019 too. So I mean,
I didn't go with my gut, man. I didn't go with my gut because I saw first Hornet to hit 250. I'm like, Glenn Rice was our first All-Star. Like that was a big deal, and it just seemed like he would have done that before Kemba. But yeah, not as many threes being shot.
Was he number 41?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, this is a layup too. What was All-Star power forward Larry Johnson's nickname? We got A, Grandmama.
Come on.
The Manimal, man.
Nah, that's
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
That's right. All right.
Those commercials with him in that dress. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was insane. No doubt about it. Which Charlotte's head coach has the highest winning percentage? Okay. We got Alan Bristow, B, Paul Silas, C, Dave Cowens, or D, Steve Clifford.
Oh boy, I want to. This one's tough. I think it was Paul Silas.
That's where I was going.
Okay, what about you, Nick?
I'll say Paul Silas.
Paul Silas. All right.
He's just saying it because we said it.
3 for 3.
Yeah.
All right, let's
I don't really know, to be honest.
It's Bristow.
Bristow.
Right. It's Bristow. Well, I'm mad at myself.
no.
Yep. No, it's not.
Steve Clifford.
That's what the internet said, so
Steve
it must
Clifford?
be Clifford.
It was
No.
not.
Cowens.
Really? Former Celtic. Wow. 3 years there, had a 109-70 record with Charlotte Hornets.
We have to do this every episode now. I'm loving this.
Yes, sir. I actually got the NBA one up.
That one was before my time, boy.
Again, this is a layup. Who was the shortest
Earl
player
Boykins, baby,
in Hornets history? You got Earl Boykins, Terry Rozier, Greg Grant, or Muggsy Bogues.
Come on, Owen. You'll have to think twice about this one.
I think Owen's like me, though. He's like, nah, I ain't getting another one wrong. I'm bouncing. See, the obvious answer would be Muggsy Bogues, but I don't know if it's going to be one of those tricks.
I'm not mistaken. Muggsy Bogues is 5'3".
It's Muggsy.
Yeah.
It's Muggsy.
Like, he's listed as 5'3", but I read once that he's actually 5'1".
Okay, well, yeah. So either way, 5'3". Okay. All right. 3 more questions before we wrap it up, guys. I don't know if Owen's back or not because I'm on the other screen, but we're going to keep
I'm bringing him in now.
All right. Who holds the franchise single season record for assist in Charlotte Hornet history? We got Brevin Knight, B, Muggsy Bogues, C, Raymond Felton.
Okay. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, now I can hear you. Yeah. You hear the question? Okay. Okay, so we got A, Brevin Knight, B, Muggsy Bogues, C, Raymond Felton, or D, B, Diddy, Baron Davis. Single season record for assists. Who do you guys think it was?
I'm gonna go with
Baron Davis didn't pass.
Pass a little bit.
A little bit.
I'll go with Raymond Felton. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I'm not gonna lie.
Owen said he's lagging too much. He had to bounce.
All right, no problem, Owen. Thank you for stopping by.
We can finish it. We can definitely finish.
Yeah, we can finish this one. Michael, who you going with?
I'm gonna go with Muggsy again.
You going with Muggsy Bogues? All right, let's try Raymond Felton first and see if Nick got it right.
Yep. I just guess.
All right, let's try Muggsy Bogues.
Yes,
that
sir.
Michael's on a roll, man. Michael was on a roll.
Back in the 90s, I actually liked the Hornets. I can't lie.
Yeah, they had a solid team.
This is his time, man.
It kind of is my time.
All right, who was the first Hornets player to win NBA Rookie of the Year?
It's a little tough.
We got Larry Johnson, B, Baron Davis, C, Kemba Walker, or D, Alonzo Mourning.
I'm gonna go Alonzo. I would assume. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm gonna go Alonzo.
I'm gonna go Alonzo as well because I feel like Larry Johnson blossomed later on once that he was in.
All right, let's see. Was it Zoe?
Or Kimba.
It was not Zoe.
I don't think Kimba got Rookie of the Year, did he?
Yo.
Let's try. It was not Kimba. So we got between Baron Davis or Larry Johnson.
Hang on. Let's
Don't
think.
you Google it.
Let's
Don't you
think.
Google it.
I'm not Googling it. Hang on. I don't know if I want to go Larry, man. I'm gonna go BD.
All right, you're going B Diddy? All right.
Oh my God.
Larry
91.
Johnson, 1991, University of Nevada. They won a national championship. Greg Anthony, those guys, good team. All right, last question. Charlotte Hornets trivia.
Hey, there's a page 2, CJ.
There is a page 2. We could. I don't know how much time you got, but
I'm good. I mean, Owen has
do you want to do it?
I kind of want to keep going on this, man. I'm
Let's
loving
do it.
this.
all right, yeah, I got the NBA one up on the other tab, so we could go into that one. That's more that.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the last one for the Charlotte Hornets right here. What was the first jersey number retired by the Charlotte Hornets? 13, 2, 1, or 41?
I'm going to go with the 41 since I said Larry Johnson earlier.
All right, Nick, what about you? You got?
Muggsy
was number 1, though, wasn't he?
Believe
I'm gonna
so.
say number 1. I honestly don't even know. I'm not gonna lie.
All right.
Oh!
Okay,
Oh.
no. Okay, number 13.
13's Lonzo, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, wait.
Was
So
it?
LaMelo just wore number 2. So yeah, it could be number 2.
Or 1 because he's.
Oh wait, 1.
now.
Oh my! How do we not know that?
Shooting guard Bobby. No, it was 13.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
but we shouldn't have guessed 2 or 1.
Yeah. Bobby
we're
Phillips. Oh wow, that's crazy. R.I.P. man.
Yeah, rest in peace. Yeah.
All right. So that was the Charlotte Hornets trivia. Now we're going to transition to the NBA trivia. Let's see how good these guys know their NBA.
Yes, sir.
History.
Can you change this every so often? Does it do a different list for you?
There's different. Yeah, for the NBA one, there's different pages and stuff. So I'll just keep account for where we're at. We were all wrong.
I am making a list. This is going to be something we start keeping a tally on. Who wins?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Oh my God! I don't know this. I don't know this first one off the rip.
Perfect. I mean, you never know, man. This question might pop up. You can win some cash. You never know, man. What team won the very first NBA game? We got A, the Toronto Huskies, B, the Chicago Stags, C, the New York Knicks, or D, the Philadelphia Warriors. I'm gonna say Philadelphia Warriors.
I'm gonna roll with the team that's on CJ's hat. I'm gonna roll with the Knicks just to give them some love.
Okay.
I'm probably totally wrong though.
Michael, who
you
you
said
got?
New York, Philly. I don't think Toronto had a team in the first NBA.
No, they did.
year.
They did. Mm-hmm. They did.
Really?
Mm-hmm. What should be Chicago? We don't know nothing about the damn Chicago.
I want to say
Stags.
New York just because they're still there, but I'll pick the Chicago. I'll go with that. I'm not going.
If I'm not mistaken, the Knicks and the Warriors were the first game. I could be wrong. That could be the first game, and they might have played each other. I remember hearing that throughout this 75-year history season. So I said the Warriors. So let's see if that's correct. That's not correct.
All right, it's probably gonna be the Knicks.
Is it the Knicks?
Hey.
They defeated the Toronto Huskies 68-66 in 1946. Sheesh.
1946. Wow. My goodness.
All right, well, this second one's practically a layup. If you don't know this one, then you shouldn't even watch basketball.
Should not watch basketball
Baylor.
at all.
Hands down, Baylor. My goodness, guys.
What NBA player scored 100 points on March 2nd, 1962? Bill Russell, R.I.P., Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Elgin Baylor, R.I.P., or Wilt Chamberlain, R.I.P. Damn.
It's all Wilt.
Wilt Chamberlain, yes, sir.
Well,
Light work. over the Knicks. Of course it was. Of course.
Really? It was against the Knicks?
Of course he scored 100. He had 125 on the Knicks. Light work. Sounds like today. Question number 3. Who was the first player in NBA history to be elected league MVP by unanimous vote? I mean, one guy, at least one guy on our show should know this one. You got Magic Johnson, A, B, Steph Curry, C, Michael Jordan, or D, LeBron James.
I'm sure Michael's probably gonna go with LeBron.
Of course, hands down.
But it's number 30 for the Golden State Warriors.
It's Curry.
Yes, sir. Yes, it is. 2016, he had a phenomenal year, bro. It was crazy. He went crazy that year. All right, this is an interesting one. What kind of shot did Joe Folks score a record 63 points within one game in 1949? Was it A, a hook shot, B, a jump shot, C, a three-point shot, or D, a free throw?
We don't know this, man. Come on. Nobody knows this.
You don't know this?
I don't know this, no.
I'm going to say a free throw.
I feel like that's what it would be, but I'm going to go with at least – I'm going to change it up just so we all around. I'm going to
say a jump shot.
Okay, I'm going to go hook shot. I
want
to say jump shot.
The three-point shot didn't come into the A till 19.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, all right, I said free throw. Let's see. Was not.
Oh, okay. I would have said jump shot, and this is when they gave it a name, but I'm going to go hook shot since.
You're going to go hook shot?
Yeah.
It was not.
Hey, I was right. Once again.
Jump shot. Jumping Joe Folks introduced the jump shot, scoring then a record 63 points against the Indianapolis Jets.
The Jets still suck.
Wow, that's crazy. All right, question number 5. Who scored the first three-point basket in NBA history? Was it A, Chris Ford, B, Wes Unseld, C, Gene Stump, or D, Larry Bird?
I'm gonna go Larry Legend. It's probably gonna be wrong, but
I'm gonna say Larry as well. I mean, he was in the A when they introduced the three-point shot. What you going with, Michael?
Oh, it's the first three-pointer. I thought it was just the first bucket. I was like, Larry wasn't alive when the first – well, I mean, I guess he probably was alive. But, I mean, I'm going to go Chris Ford.
Okay, let's see. Chris Ford. It
sounds like a three-point shooter name.
Oh, my God.
Hey!
On the Boston
Is it sad that I picked the whitest guy's name just because I figured he may shoot a three-pointer?
He said it sounds like a three-point shooter's name.
Wow. Also was the debut of Larry Bird in that game.
Huh.
Crazy. All right. Who was the youngest player to score 10,000 points in the NBA? Was it A, Kobe Bryant, B, Wilt Chamberlain, C, LeBron James, or D, Michael Jordan?
I'm going to go LeBron.
I'm going to go LeBron as well. Would not be surprised because
that's me. I want to say Wilt because he scored 120 points in the game, but I don't think he had 10,000, so I'm gonna go with LeBron.
All right, it was LeBron at 23 years old. Insane. Yeah, he's on pace to pass Kareem for number 1 all time. Incredible, man. Question number 7. What team owns the longest winning streak in NBA history? We got A, Chicago Bulls, B, Los Angeles Lakers, C, Golden State Warriors, or D, Miami Heat.
You youngins got to do your homework. It's the Lakers with 33 games in a row.
Yes, it is. Yes. Michael, any rebuttals? Okay.
Right. I'm just going to go with Lakers. You all seem pretty sure.
Yeah, it's Lakers with 33.
Everyone Lakers. Yes, sir.
Right now, it's 5-4. Nick's in the lead with 1.
What player was known for the clown prince of the Harlem Globetrotters?
I have no idea.
Was it Marcus Haynes, Fred Curly Neal, Meadowlark Lemon, or Goose Tatum? Sheesh. No clue.
I'm going to go Marcus Haynes.
I'm going to go the clown prince of the Harlem Globetrotters. I'm going to go Marcus Haynes. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Lemon.
Lemon. Let's try Meadowlark Lemon.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
Meadowlark Lemon.
Wow. Did you even know that beforehand?
I did not.
Are you cheating?
No, my phone is my
Okay.
phone's right here, but it's
Guys on a roll.
me and Nick's tied. I also love the Globetrotters.
Right. Who was the all-time leading scorer in men's college basketball? We got A, Stephen Curry, B, Pistol Pete, C, Freeman Williams, or D, Larry Bird.
I'm going to assume Freeman Williams. I don't know.
Let's say Pistol Pete.
I'm going Pistol. For LSU, baby.
Let's try Freeman.
Give me the Pistol, boys. Come
Pistol
on.
Pete Maravich. Wow.
Just saying, I'm in the lead with one here.
All right. Last question of the episode before we go next week. I mean, this should be right up Nick's alley right here. Who was the first WNBA player to dunk in a playoff game?
Oh, playoff
a
game.
playoff game. Oh, snap.
We got A, Lisa Leslie, B, BG, Brittany Griner, C, Michelle Snow, or D, Tamika Catchings.
I'm going to go BG. Free BG.
I'm still going to go Leslie, just so therefore there's a chance for Nick to win. Or to tie, I'll say.
All right, let's see. Is it BG?
Who you going with, CJ?
Oh, I was going to say Lisa Leslie. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew Lisa Leslie was regular season, but I didn't know playoffs.
Yeah,
So me tied. We got 7 right. CJ, you only got 5 right.
All right. So I got some catching up to do for next week.
Or do we want to just say the winner? Or are we going to keep a rolling tally? I was going to say, hey, this one I won. How many wins we have of the day?
Yeah, we could do that. I'm cool with that too.
Can we go one more question, tiebreaker for me and Nick?
All right, let's do it. Second page.
Oh, jeez.
Please be old. Please be old. Please be old.
I don't know this one. I'm not going to lie. I don't know this one.
How many games did Will Chamberlain foul out of during his 14-year NBA career? Was it A, 11, B, 94, C, 25, or D, 0?
I'm going to go 25.
I'm going to go 0.
Bro, I so...
Oh
my God.
Chamberlain never fouled out of a regular season or playoff game in his 14
He never had to get close.
Crazy. He averaged 2 fouls per game, despite averaging 45 minutes per game. Insane, bro. Insane. So for this week, Michael's the winner.
Yes, sir.
Getting a dub for this week's trivia. Shout out to Michael Lawson getting that dub.
I tried to play it safe, man. I was like, there's no way he didn't foul out as a big man. But
It had 0 on there. Yeah. It had to be 1.
Oh man. But I guess that's the episode.
Yes, sir, that is the episode, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, listening. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell for not only for when Michael and Nick and I go live, but also other colleagues on Rap Sports Network throughout the week. Nick, let us know what you got going on.
Yes, sir. Follow me on Twitter at NickAndreATR. I'm very active on NBA Twitter out there. Yes, shout out to Michael for the win. You know, I'm definitely making a comeback next week for sure. My newest series, Forgotten Players Part 2.5, begins tomorrow. So make sure to tap into that. What, Earl Boykins? Unfortunately not. But tomorrow starts it out. It's going to be Dale Ellis, sniper from 3-point range. So, yes, make sure to check that out every Monday and Wednesday throughout the month of August. So make sure to check that out.
Michael, where can the people find you?
First off, follow us with Couch Bucket USN. Sorry, I got 2 things there. Didn't realize that till just now. But follow me on every social media there is, MD Lawson 00. And again, want to give a quick shout out to Owen for coming on. Appreciate you so much for coming on there. If you want to know anything going on in the Hornets organization, basically hit him up. He's got all kinds of different things that he had going on there. A lot of different shows. Queen City was one of them. But again, Count Bucket USN. Hit us up. Follow us on everything.
Sir, CJames9_ on Twitter, linktree.com/CJames9. You can find everything I got going on. Knicks Boulevard, Forever Patriots, obviously Count the Bucket, a Guard Up podcast, and last but not least, the Hard Count on Tuesdays right here on Unwrapped Sports Network YouTube channel at 9 p.m. Eastern. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next week. Have a good one.
Deuces.